Hello and welcome. This is a new podcast, a chat with me old mate, Nyasha, the legend that is of Quick Stop F1, God tier F1 knowledge each and every single time, God tier F1 debates. How are you doing, sir? I feel like we're going to argue today somehow, Nyasha, about a couple of different things. But before we do, how are you doing, Cha?
I'm good. I feel like thank you for having me on. Always happy to be on the home of F1 wheel knowledge. I will say I was conspicuous by my absence last week when Lewis Hamilton was on pole and he got a win. You didn't have me on then, but you want to have me on today. That's fine. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
We're going to talk about both of those things, but I promise you, this is not a drill, sir. We're going to have to dissect and diatribe for all things Sir Lewis Hamilton, because there are muggles, there are abbots of unreason, and there are extremists in the midst who have been talking some smack, and who better to address all that stuff than me old mate, my brother, my co-host of this new podcast, the one that they call Nyasha of Quick Stop F1. But first and foremost, Nyasha, can we talk about some Maximilian Verstappen? Because I got a little bit excited earlier, chap. I didn't know what I was watching. I felt like there was no way that Max Verstappen was going to do what he did and drop that thing on pole with bloody fire-breathing dragon Oscar Jack Piastri and Lando Norris in that MCL 3.9 in this, and ostensibly the quickest car on the grid. Was I getting a bit gassed earlier, Nyasha, or do you think we saw something truly special?
Look, I honest to God, I just made probably the video. I've never made a video on my channel and then immediately hated the content that I've put out. But I just did a video on Quickstop F1 and essentially had to spend 10-15 minutes explaining why what we saw from Max Verstappen was, in fact, really good. And even me, I want to say, do you know what I mean? It's the car, it's this, then that. What we saw today was top quality F1 driving. I think my only issue, Cam, and I do want to pull you up and some people up on this, is that I think you guys do Red Bull and Max a disservice when you act like this car is genuinely a backmarker car and you're acting as if Max is dragging a Sauber into pole position. And I think that's my only issue, where I think that's why people push back on what you guys say about Max, because you make it out as if he's in a Fred Flintstone car and he's literally running with his feet and his feet are powering this car around Suzuka. That's not what it is. And I think that's where I think where me and you differ, in terms of, I think he is operating at the very high level of Formula One. But I think sometimes you're going over the top in just how bad the car is. That's all.
Allow me to interject and
please
rebuttal.
Please do.
Because it's about to get very techy. Let me read out Charles Edwards. Charles Edwards, you're a legend, by the way. Charles Edwards says, that Ninja Max is different, 0.87 down the way. He took the curb. F it life. I'd pay a gazillion to see him versus the man from Kingsling, Norfolk, George Russell, in the same car. Listen, let me tell you this, Nyasha of Quick Stop F1. How very dare you not extend Max Verstappen fans a bit of creative license? Don't think that I don't watch my brother on Quick Stop F1. We're back.
Where's the gunshots?
Mate, I don't have any gunshots. What are we listen, Nyasha, forgive Max Verstappen fans. What he's doing more broadly, if we're going to characterise it and be open and honest, it might not be a Sauber. Forget what Helmut Marko said, that Max Verstappen could drive a bloody, I don't know what is it, an Alpine or whatever, an Aston Martin, and put it on pole. Hyperbole, but forgive him that. That would be misdirection. Your Bruce Lee settings, don't focus on the finger or you're missing all the heavenly glory, right? What Max Verstappen did today, as well as Brazil last year, as well as Brazil 2016, as well as Monaco 2023, is make believers out of skeptics. chap. A rising tide in F1 floats all boats. And when it's this level, this extent of excellent sporting endeavour, Nyasha, you can't resist it, chap. It needs no flipping translation. He was 18-1 to put it on pole today.
Really?
That's not, Nyasha, nobody. Wow. Nobody. You heard the engineers like, oh my God, that's insane. Everybody in the paddock was aghast. It didn't make sense that Max Verstappen was able to drag that RB21. Maybe not the slowest car on the grid, Nyasha, but a diva. W13 settings. Go on.
Can I ask you a question? And this is for, I guess this is for my own understanding. And I guess this is for, there's a couple of things I want to say. But I guess let me start with the question. And this is a genuine question, right? We both follow and know Blake, right? Intricate and intrinsic and intimate knowledge of managing Max Verstappen and the car and how Red Bull work and so forth, right? And he is adamant, and he has said that the car is not built for Max. They don't build for Max. They build a car, and then the driver kind of drives, they kind of then tune the car. We've heard Alex Albon say that, again, the car was built. How Max likes the car is how he likes it. And then obviously the development then tends to go towards what Max wants. Can we just, I guess my question is, given that he's been in that team for nearly, this is his 10th season now, no? The characteristics of how they believe a car is quick would be built upon the data that they've collected over the years with Max and Ricciardo and obviously, all the drivers, but mainly Max, let's say in the last 6 years or so, being built around that. So whilst I can understand that if someone else was to get into that car, i.e. Liam Lawson, i.e. Alex Albon, i.e. Pierre Gasly, they would struggle with that car and it would be potentially a midfield car. Do you not think that this is a car which is fundamentally for Max Verstappen a top 3 car, a top 4 car at the very least, which he is working through whatever issues are in there to then get to first? And I think is that not a more accurate thing than this car is a shitbox? Oh, it's so bad. Max is performing miracles in this car. And I think that's where I think we differ in that I think it's a car that's not behaving how Max would like, but it's still a car that for Max, in Max's hands, is going to be a top 3-4 car. We can't base it on the performance of his teammates, I guess, to round off that question. Or do we base it on the performance of his teammates?
I think if you're going to understand the true benchmark of the car, it's got to be closer. It's a difference in extents, Nyasha, and not kinds, right? But you've got a sliding scale that more towards a Liam Lawson or a Tsunoda-san. If you're talking about what mere mortals can do in the car, chap, what that dude did today was effing bonkers. It didn't make sense, Nyasha. It was one of those instant goosebumps and just trying to understand how. I get what you're saying. If you want to minimise for the achievement that was today and dropping it on pole, you could say that at least he should be P7, P8 at the very least. But Nyasha, here's the pertinent question, the exam question even. He wasn't in P7, chap. He was in P1. And when you look at the God tier lap, when you break it down and start to go through what he did to get it on pole, because Lando, that MCL 39 is a God tier car, especially around a Suzuka medium speed, high speed setting, Degner, the S's, Spoon, etc., etc. Lando's always going to go well around there, and he should have been on pole. But Max Verstappen did one of these, Nyasha, to use your body language. He reached into the fire and dragged that pole, kicking and screaming. He had no business doing what he did today, Nyasha. And what's worse, if it was an anomalous circumstance, then cool. Write it off, right? Chalk it up to the game. But he's doing it as near as makes no difference every single bloody weekend, Nash. And this is why I get so bloody excited. Because again, just another one. DJ Khaled settings, Monaco bloody a couple of years ago, flipping Brazil every single year, and that makes no difference. I remember him doing something similar at Belgium a couple of years ago around Pouan, driving the car at a minimum speed, so different to anything I've ever seen. You're just waiting for him to yeet it into the barrier. It looks fake. Nyasha, AI settings, the speed that he took through Degner 1 today, I was like, what? Hang on. Instantly, I'm just trying to check, Mum. Did I just see one of those ones where you remember where you were when you seen that dude put that lap in? And I take your principal point of contention, Nyasha, but I will raise it this way.
Sure.
I almost think it fades to black, sir. If you want to come at it from a non Max Verstappen fan perspective, and bathe in the murky waters of objectivity, then P7 minimum. But again, it's that extra, it's hundredths, chap. You know what I mean?
Look, for real. Okay, so for me, I think for me, right, there are moments when you're watching Formula One. I liken it to when I was watching Arsenal play Barcelona and they had fucking Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, tiki-taka at its finest, and you're watching it and you're like, this person is playing a different sport to whatever team I'm watching, right? In terms of like operational excellence. I can't deny that. I'm not going to say that that's not the case, right? And I think all I've ever said about Max Verstappen is that he will maximize what machinery he has. I can't remember the last time I saw Max Verstappen make a mistake in qualifying. Saudi, like off the top of my head, right? So I get that. I guess what I would say is, wow, Charles, making it rain in this bitch. What I would say is that for me, why isn't that same grace extended when Lewis Hamilton puts it on pole position last week in China, and then he wins the sprint race, and then we can see the performance of that car day to day. On the Saturday, he puts it on pole, he pulls away from the field. On the Sunday, the car's nowhere. But we don't get calls of genius. We don't get calls of, oh, this is otherworldly. I've got people, and there's people in this chat who are on my channel saying it's a fluke, saying it's, this is nothing to be excited about. Of course I got excited last week. You want to talk about my reaction on what I said last week? You want to talk about the things that I said last week? The excitement that I had is because I was watching greatness, which you diminished. But today I see you up on your high horse and you're loving everything that's happened. So tell me, Cameron, and tell everyone in this chat, tell Charles, tell everyone, what's the difference in what we saw today to what we saw last week? Because I'd love to know.
Nyasha out here calling out Charles Edward. You're a legend, by the way.
Charles, you're a legend, by the way. I wasn't diminishing that. You're a legend.
Is sponsored by Charles Edward Cheese, who says, by the way, Max is out here aura-faring like Sung Jin-woo, crushing drivers off of pure reality. It's legit insane. I would concur. So let me address Nyasha's question though, because I've heard that. Well, where was this enthusiasm last week when Lewis put it on sprint pole, Nyasha, sprint pole?
Well, you still got to. Oh, come on,
Nyasha.
The race
Nyasha,
I can.
Your
the
question,
race I can
sir,
give you.
Your
the
question,
race I can
sir,
give you.
Was what's the difference?
Qualifying, still qualifying. Come on,
sprint pole, Nyasha. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
There is a difference, a material one of consequence between a sprint pole and a proper pole at Suzuka,
I don't deny that.
as versus the Chinese Grand Prix. Very, very, very different circumstances, sir. Let's be honest and truthful. Plus, I suppose trying to compute Lewis. That was equally shocking what Lewis did last race weekend.
Yeah.
I would contend though, I don't think he was 18-1. I think he was something like circa 10-1.
Wow, I mean,
on pole. It's a different thing, isn't it? As far as the beast that Max has to slave for in them McLarens, driven by Lando and Oscar at Suzuka, chap, medium speed settings, where the natural habitat,
technical. It's a driver's track.
The natural habitat of the McLaren. It's a proper driver's track. It's Spoon. It's Degner's. It's 130R, 200R. The chicane. It's techier, chap. So to see, even if I sack off what he did right. let's say that Max just put it on pole and you don't get to see the onboard of the lap. I don't think it's as crazy as some are making it. But Nyasha, when you see what the dude did, Degner won. Doesn't even make sense, Nyasha. No F1 car has gone through that corner, taking that integer of minimum speed through that. It doesn't make sense what he's doing. You watch it and you're expecting him to yeet it into the barrier, just like I was expecting him to do at Pouillon at Spa-Francorchamps a couple of years ago in the bloody wet. Somehow, though, this chap just manages to dig it out, Nyasha, and that's what's so exceptional. That's what makes it feel a little bit different to what Sir Lewis Hamilton did. I was on stream, Nyasha, reacted to it live, and people said at the time, "Oh, how comes you didn't react and punch the air like you did with?" Well, because if Lewis does that, Silverstone last year, Nyasha, tears on stream, chap, because it hurt. It meant something. It was impactful. It needs no translation. You can't put words to what Lewis Hamilton did last year at Silverstone. I'm about to start sobbing again talking to it because it meant a lot. Was Lewis ever going to do it again? It was stakes. Translate that into today, the 5th of the 4th, 2025, Nyasha. That felt like it met all that's going on at Red Bull. The chaos, Horner, allegation gate, court case pending, bloody Jos Verstappen saying that Max Verstappen is going to go on sabbatical, the 1 billion contract offer pending from Lant. There's all these things going on. The car I don't think is great. Can Max Verstappen do it on a rainy day in Sunderland, Nyasha? You bet your bottom dollar he can, on the basis of the evidence of the 5th of the 4th.
Is it diminished if he? I guess I think I know the answer to this, but is that then diminished? Oh, sorry, do you want to big up Charles again? I've just seen, wow, this guy.
Chaos. Charles out here sponsoring the sheep. Sprints don't count. Peak Lewis is epic. He has more accomplished teamates, but he never smoked boots like this, man. Oof. Oof. We're going to get into it.
Charles, relax. Relax.
Let me finish it. Then over the field, when the McLaren is clearly the best. Also, there is something to Mr. Windsor's short corners. We're going to get to it, Charles. Go on. I interrupt you very rudely.
No. Look,
is it diminished by?
I think it's really important to big up people who support independent creators. Even anyone watching this, well, thank you for joining us and listening to us. Without you guys, this is what me and this guy do over the phone, for free. So let alone doing it with an audience, it's incredible. What I would say is is it diminished, let's say, or is it increased if he doesn't win tomorrow? I guess. Are we looking at this and this achievement on its own is its own incredible achievement, or does it need the race win, or does it compound how good it was today if the McLarens just kind of zoom past him tomorrow?
Oh, techie. If he does this chap tomorrow, if he can hold them Landos and OJ Piastris off, mate. Chaos. I don't think it diminishes it necessarily if he doesn't win. I just think it wouldn't be as crazy as it could have been if he goes and smashes out 25.
Yeah.
But 25 points on top of the pole. Chaos, Nyasha. And I just wouldn't put it past him at this stage. One of those ones. You just can't. Said a gazillion times, the rules of the channel, never bet against Maximilian Verstappen, not in 2025, unless you wanna lose yourself some money. You can't, Nyasha.
Look, I feel like I coined the Max Verstappen is inevitable phrase, right? And for me, that is a thing. I guess for me, I'm not going to lie to you. I feel as enamored as I am by Max. I feel equally disappointed in the McLarens, to be honest. There's even a little bit of disappointment there for Mercedes. I think George could have snuck something there as well. If he took up the perfect lap, I think George could have been in and around there. And no, and this is what is disappointing about McLaren, right? Is that they want to be at this upper echelon of F1. You want to be at the sharp end of the sport. And I think this is why I get disappointed with, again, people who diminish what Lewis has done in the past, because it's not easy. Even if you have the best car, it's not easy to consistently bang out lap after lap, win after win, pole after pole. And I think that's what we're seeing from Max now. Max is in his prime right now. We're watching prime Max Verstappen. This is his era, if we're going to be honest. McLaren, the way that Lando Norris, again, if the car is not Goldilocks to his liking, seeing him putting a toe in the gravel, not getting a lap together, having to leave time on the table because he's fucked up his first lap, that's not the settings of a world champion. And that's what's disappointing for me, is that there's this big hype. He's saying, I can do it this season. And time after time, I think since Austria last year, if we're talking in boxing rounds, Max is, we're talking about what? How many rounds has Max won, really? Right. Lando's got in a couple sneaks, couple rounds, Zandvoort, Abu Dhabi, Singapore. But really and truly, when you look at it, I'm just not seeing world champion material from McLaren at the moment. And I think that's what's disappointing.
But, bruv, I think you're setting them up for failure here.
Really?
Like the way that you do this, Max Verstappen, you're doing the chap a disservice. It's different, Nyasha. You could see in the McLaren boys, and you guys are talking about it in the chat, in the McLaren boys post-race, there was something in their demeanour where this is the cold realisation that Max Verstappen is just a bit different. To use Lewis's terminology, Max is built different. You don't need to look at the lap and see what he's doing, his inputs, the bloody last of the late breakers going into the chicane, whereas Lando Norris is having to back off to make sure that he completes sector 3. It's different, Nyasha. You can't. I think it's unfair. It's an exercise in futility, or even a non sequitur, to even try compare Lando Norris versus a Max Verstappen. It's apples and oranges, chap. Lando can't do that. He's brilliant though, Lando. Let's give him his dues. He's a fantastic driver. Speed for days. He's nothing if not quick, otherworldly quick. But to do what Max Verstappen, it's a different thing, Nyasha. Like apples and oranges. To execute in the peakest of peak times, when it matters most, the dying embers of a quali. There's only, if they count on one hand, it's Max, it's Lewis, it's Ayrton. Maybe you want to put Seb in there too. It's Alan. There's not too many people. You won't count more than 10 in all of F1 history who could do what Max did today, outperforming the car.
Oh, you can't outperform a car. No, Stop mate. That.
But don't Grice his rate. Don't Karan Chandak me, Nyasha. You understand very clearly about what
he's maximized to the complete maximum potential of the car.
So you
100%.
You pettifog me there, so you understand exactly. Outperform versus what a Liam Lawson could do, or dare I say, a Charles Leclerc could do in the car.
But this is the thing. Like, you're comparing. On one hand, you're like, oh, by the way, big up Lango, who did the gifted 5 memberships. By the way, don't want to forget that. On one hand, you guys say Max is this like ethereal fucking driver. Oh my god, godlike. I've got people on my channel saying he's not normal. Someone compared him to Ben Johnson.
Oh my gosh.
I said, brother, that guy's on peds. Don't compare him to that. But on one hand, you're saying he's a ethereal driver, and then on the other hand, saying, wow, how are his teammates not matching up? And it's like, well, who are his teammates? Liam Lawson. Who are his teammates? Fucking Sergio Perez. Who are his teammates? Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, in the infancy of their careers. So I just think, like, you can't say, oh, this guy is a god, blah, 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 look how much better he's doing, and then be like, well, then you look at who his teammates are. Like, of course they're not going to get there, because they're just not. They're not world class level.
They're not
world class.
But who is Nyasha? Who is chap? That's the exam question. Who is on that level?
Oh no! Look,
Max is operating at
now. It would be lovely. It would be great to see. It's not going to happen, but it would be great to see him with a team. I guess people think that's what Perez was last season. I don't know if that's the case, but I think it would be awesome to see him in like an equal driver pairing, the same way there is in McLaren, in Ferrari. It would be cool to see that. But look, I've got no issue. I've got no issue whatsoever. Like, I feel like people just want you to fucking gargle his balls. Like, oh my God. Like, I think he's great. I think what he did today was honestly, like, I think I was asking you, I was like, where do you rank this in terms of like the max performances? I think it's up there. I don't think I've seen too many max pole positions that I've gone, whoa, that's really like kind of made you step back a little bit. So no, fair play to Max, man. Like I've got no issue saying Max did well today. I just want, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, hopefully I'll be back when Lewis gets his first pole, and then we'll see what the reactions to outperforming the car are. Then
what do you mean when, chap? What do you mean when? This is ambition. Miami says, go on, let's get techie. Let's lead into this because Miami Boraz says this is a Max Glazing channel. Do you think if we weren't seeking to be objective that I'd even invite Nyasha on here to debate me on these things? Use your noggin, Miami. Be serious. We're looking to have good conversations here. That's why I'd always invite a Windsor on or a Nyasha or a Baxter and a Shez so that we can use friction, right? This is differing opinions. Let me put my truth in the light, and sometimes it will turn out to be fun. Go on, let's get techie around Sir Lewis. I'm not loving what I'm seeing, Nyasha. These don't look like Lewis to me. Not the Lewis that I know. Not 2008 Sir Lewis Hamilton. Not 2008. Oh, well, he's 40 years old and LeBron's 40 and so too. That's what they say, though, Nyasha. This is chaos.
Who's saying that? Who's they? That's you.
No.
You're saying that.
I've seen these comments. Oh, well, how can you write? How can you write off Lewis when Tom Brady won a Super Bowl and he was older than him? How can you write off Lewis when LeBron is older than Lewis and he's still doing bits? Well, hang on. You've got to treat each and every single case on its own merits. What I'm seeing from Sir Lewis, I said today on the stream, I was happy. I was happier during Q2, I think, when he was right there next to Charles. It was like hundreds between the two. The reason being, Nyasha, because I'm getting used to seeing the gap between Charles, modern day journalist, and Sir Lewis. Is 2/10 chap? Yeah, no,
is this the third race?
Yeah, but trend is your friend until there's a bend. It's 2 to 3 tenths each and every single time, Nyasha. What was the gap between the two of them in Q3? 2 to 3 tenths, chap. I don't even need to look. What's going on?
No, but honestly, like, I just think like you're so eager to jump the gun on this. Like it's insane. Like, I get it. We're not talking about 2024 now, right? I think we had that discussion on the last one. If you've not watched that, go and watch that incredible chat. We're talking about this season, and this season across 4 events, it's 2-2. So, like, I don't quite understand where, like, this, like real, like, I don't know, like, real want or wish or thought that Lewis Hamilton must be finished, even though he's in a new team. Let's look at people in new teams, right? Mm-hmm. Old heads in new teams. Let's look at what Carlos Sainz is doing at fucking Williams. Let's look at fucking Esteban Ocon getting dropped by 4 tenths by a rookie. Mm-hmm. And then that rookie qualifying in fucking 10th place. What do we do? Let's look at Nico Hulkenberg not having the best of times against Portoletto. These are safe hands we're talking about here. These are not like erratic drivers. These are people that you would probably trust to be able to do what they need to do. I just think you are because of Lewis's stature in the sport, I think you are almost like over-egging the negative, and then when the positive happens, oh, it's a sprint weekend. If Max Verstappen did what he did today last weekend in the sprint fucking quali, do you think that you would be saying, oh, it's a sprint race? No, you'd be saying, wow, it's a great performance, well done. And I just think you can't say to me that someone, whether he's going to win an eighth or whatever, like I don't think that's happening this season. I think we can all see that because Charles definitely isn't going to do it. So that's neither here nor there. I just think that you are over egging the negative side of things and ignoring the fact that he's in a new team. It's the third race, and actually, like, there is going to be discrepancies in performance and qualifying. I don't think anyone expected him to come into qualifying and do really well against Charles, like, straight away. And I just think, like, why is there this, like, real, like, trend to the negative rather than extrapolate your graph? Okay, if we're trading, I'm not just looking at a graph, I'm looking at macro indicators, I'm looking at context, and then I'm deciding whether I'm going to slap my fucking money on Nvidia now that there are $100. Like, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, riddle me that, Cameron. Like, why is that?
You're talking to a negative fallacy bias, and I don't think that's the truth. Here, I'll explain it to you. Yeah. I'm here to see Lewis Hamilton win championships. Anything less than that, for me, for Sir Lewis, anybody else, whatever, we can celebrate. If it's Carlos Sainz Jr., Nyasha, winning a sprint and dropping it on pole, we're back. I'm right there with you. If it's an Alex Albon or, I don't know, a Nicholas Latifi, whoever else you want to talk about on the grid, not named Sir Lewis, but we were there, Nyasha, for Pete's sake. We lived through 2014 to 2020. Nobody could beat that dude unless your name was Nico Rosberg and it was reliability issues and you were doing all the swapping of the pit. Nobody could beat Sir Lewis Hamilton. That was the norm. That was the era in which we lived, and the parameters that came to govern the lens through which I ingested my F1, Nyasha. Now something's changed, though. Something's been changing, Nyasha. And every time I talk about it, Lewis Hamilton fans and stands, extremists and fundamentalists alike, want to claim that I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan. Well, I am a Lewis Hamilton fan because, for the most part, not to get all proselytisy, but for the most part, I was here before all them lot. 2006 GP2 Silverstone Pizzioni PK3 deep into bloody maggots and
yeah, like, I saw that. I saw him going.
That's what I'm saying, Nyasha.
Hoardings. I was there.
Chaos. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Nyasha. So for these newfangled Drive to Survive fans to come along and start trying to proselytise and gatekeep Lewis Hamilton fandom from me because I don't want to spoon Lewis Hamilton every night, I think it's outrageous, Nyasha. And so in that sense, you've talked about this offline. To a certain extent, it feels like, if we're going to get techie, it feels like the England football team being a victim of racism at the hands of England football fans made me always feel a bit techie as far as supporting the team, right? Because I couldn't want the exact same thing as England fans want because of the way that I've been treated by them. Not a dissimilar sentiment at the hands of Sir Lewis Hamilton fans. Do I wish bad on them necessarily? No, I want Sir Lewis Hamilton to win. Nyasha, let me tell you why this is techie, and you'll understand the sentiment. The way that you just talked about Max Verstappen is the exact same thing, flip reverse. You appreciate Max Verstappen for all of his sporting endeavour par excellence. But what you don't like is the way that the fans have treated you. So it's hard then for you to just give Max Verstappen the credit that he so deserves on the back of a performance. Like, you're looking to minimise the achievement. Well, could he do it in a Sauber, really?
Again, Cameron, I feel like you want me to I feel like you want me to be on my fucking knees. Like, oh God, Max. Like, look. I don't know how. This is what I mean with like Verstappen fans. I feel like I don't know how much more I can say. I've got people calling me deluded, people saying I'm biased. I'm like, I don't know what more you want me to say. I said it was a good performance. I said it was great. What I'm saying is, though, Cameron, is that like I
You know what it's like, right? Let me.
I do know what it's like. I'm trying to put this in a way.
I've got a decent analogy for you, Nyasha. Do you remember when we were talking about Mercedes and the W13?
Look,
every time we talk about Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton fans with their blinkers on, Ted Kravis is telling you it's a dog. Every F1 aficionado, Hughesy, bloody Fabregas, everybody that knows anything about F1 was saying that zero pod concept at very best is ambitious, at very worst doomed to fail. I was just regurgitating all that they were saying then. Nyasha, to which Mercedes Hamilton fans vis-a-vis Sir Lewis Hamilton extremism said, what are you talking about, Cameron? That's a god tier car, can't you see? Lewis Hamilton is going to win his 8th in that. Blinkered and blindfolded, Nyasha. It's nonsense. That the Abbott of Unreason thing. If you're not this way inclined, Nyasha. I know you as my brother. Like you're of rational mind, sir. And so what you're not going to do, as far as F1 or anything, is disbelieve the evidence of your own eyes and ears. That's why you're on here, chap, and that's why we have these conversations. So I know you know what time it is with Max Verstappen. Likewise, you know what time it is with Sir Lewis Hamilton. The restarts, what's going on there? If he's going to win a championship, he's going to have to fix for some of these travails. And
okay, all right. Okay, cool. Let's go into all of the things that our drivers are shit at. Like, for me, okay, I just find it, again, this is what the issue I have with Verstappen fans is that it's like, again, I've just seen someone in here. Hold on, I'm going to get these. I want to get these up. Like someone said, I'm only saying this to say that I've said it. Like, you can't win. Like, you cannot win as a Lewis Hamilton fan because immediately your opinion is like, oh, you can't have, you're a DTS fan, you're biased, you're this and that and the other. When, if anything, my opinion is almost like, if I'm saying something good about Max Verstappen, it must mean something good has happened, because fuck me, I would do anything not to say something good about Max Verstappen. Let me tell you that. What I want to say to you is that we have discussions about Max's wheel-to-wheel racing and the fact that Max is one accident away from having his a race ban. All of a sudden, it gets quiet everywhere. What's that?
Two accidents.
Accidents.
4 points, I think.
Is it 4 points now? Is he?
He's got 8 points.
Has some of the points gone off? Yeah,
no, not yet.
Oh, not yet. So still 2. Okay. So if you say that, then it's like, oh wow, like, oh, you can't say that. How could you say that? But there's no like. I feel like you guys, again, it's almost like a fucking. And again, ironic, right? Maybe we're both in a fucking cult without realizing it. But like, I just feel as if I say to you that I think there are flaws in Max Verstappen's driving which are exposed when under pressure. And I think we may see those. Remember last time we were talking, we were like, it would be good to see Max defending something. It would be good to see Max in a title fight when he's got 2 cars behind him, where he has to keep them behind because, you know, at this point in the season, he probably doesn't have to risk anything. But we all know once it gets to them flyaway races, once we start getting to Austin, Brazil, Mexico, and the championship is close, I think it'll be interesting to see that GOAT level temperament, that GOAT level driving that you guys talk about. Is that still going to be there? And that's where, over a single lap, I've got no issue with him driving away with a quick car, no one does it better. But for sure, Lewis Hamilton has flaws. I've told you, his restart's not good, qualifying not good. I just want you on camera to admit that Max Verstappen has flaws, and it's impossible to do. So it makes me look like a dickhead because I'm like, wow, Max Verstappen is, and then you're like, wow. But what I'm just trying to say to you is that, of course, Lewis Hamilton has flaws. Of course, Lewis Hamilton is probably not the driver that he was 5 years ago. Of course, right?
Okay, then.
I've got no issue saying that. But what I will not take is you implying after 2 races and extrapolating that and saying Lewis Hamilton is not a top driver anymore.
I mean, nobody's ever said that. I should don't put.
What are you implying then?
Let me.
What are you implying then?
Charles Edward again sponsoring.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you, Charles. Sorry.
Different calibers.
Look, you've got me drinking wine out of a tumbler.
Mate, it's getting techie over here. We've gone full send, and it's only bloody race number 3. Nyasha, where do we go from here, chap? I'm number 1 Lewis stan, says Charles, but since they robbed him, he's been out here slaving away for it. He posed to be a philanthropist, fashion fashion mogul already. Don't feel the same. By the way, Cam, take a C note and back George Russell for the win tomorrow. He's bubbling.
Charles.
Is he wrong, chap? Is he wrong?
Charles.
Is he wrong?
I just don't think I don't understand why that's a bad thing. I don't know when was it a bad thing to be a philanthropist? Like
No. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you
like
what it is.
when was that like this is what I mean about like the different levels of how we judge people. Like, oh, it's Lewis Hamilton, he's giving money to charity. He needs to concentrate on racing. Like when did we ever fucking say that? Lewis Hamilton's a fucking fashion icon. Like when James Hunt was going around fucking everything that moved, smoking cigarettes and drinking. He's a fucking legend. Lewis Hamilton does that in a teetotal way, and that's all of a sudden like that's not rock star. Like I just don't understand like how we judge Lewis and how what's good and what's bad is for me. I find that a bit weird. That's just personal.
I think there's always been a theory that I've subscribed to myself sometimes that Sir Lewis was always naturally talented enough to where the multitudinous extracurricular interests and activities were never going to hurt him. Toto always tells a story about Singapore 2018.
So you think it does hurt him?
I am still not sure. Now I think it might. Before it didn't, because he was always good enough. He was too brilliant for the rest of them. He was like he was Michelangelo. It was Leonardo da Vinci in the Sistine Chapel settings. He was that level, right? 2018 settings. So in Singapore, Toto Wolff will tell you the story of how
of course we all know the story. Yeah,
that weekend Lewis was jet setting and signing contracts and doing sponsorship deals and fashion deals, whatever else, and then only came in to race the Grand Prix late, and then he goes and puts down one of the best qualifying laps that you will ever see.
But apparently you're not allowed to say that's a good lap, like because
wow. Go on. Are you going to get into it?
Because I know you've got to go and do your thing, so I'm not going to.
We're going long now.
That for another day. We'll save that for another day.
Go on then, Nyasha. You're talking about the fact that Max very nearly could have put it on pole 2018 Singapore, but for reliability,
that's what people say.
He was up going into sector 3, but for the fact that his engine cut out. Would that not? I mean, ultimately, not close but no cigar, right? Close but no cigar. Let me talk to the philanthropy thing, though. I think there's been there's a sentiment now more than ever that if Lewis even said it himself, right? When they said to him about, are you going to have time? Some reporter journalist asked him the other day, are you going to have time to spread yourself so thin and continue doing all the altruistic activities and focus on acclimatising at Ferrari? Are you going to be able to juggle that many balls, Sir Lewis? To which, what do you think he said? He goes, no, for now, I'm all in on not my 8th necessarily, but my first with Scuderia Ferrari. That's what Lewis Hamilton said, 40 years old. You got to... So
you can't burn the wick at both ends.
Well,
right?
not at the age of 40.
No,
that's
exactly.
the point I'm trying to make. It's not necessarily the strongest of the species that survives, but the most adaptable to change now.
But I think like give that time, Cameron. I think that's all I'm saying is like give that time. We've already seen it's been in teamwear more than fashion. We've not had Lewis Hamilton paddock fashion week like at all this season, really, bar a couple of outfits here and there. He's been in team gear, so he's already kind of toned down that level of things. He's bought a house in Milan, if reports are to be true, so he's not going to be he's probably going to be spending more time in Italy than he does in Monaco. So again, there's that. But I think this is a 3-year contract, and you're judging a 3-year contract on 3 races, 1 event, he's fucking won. So I'm in my mind, you're judging a man's previous work where he's got all the records, and you're saying, well, I don't know if that's going to work. Clearly it worked. He's now moved. He's now showing that, you know what, I'm dumbing down the fashion stuff, although he's doing the Met Gala, so maybe he's, that we'll see that. That's fine, right? Like no one, like that's fine, right? He's doing he's moved to Milan, so it's going to be more time in the factory. He's learning Italian, although you want him to have learned Italian after fucking 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, he's been a Ferrari driver in his mind, in his own mind at least for 12 months. So do you know what I mean? So, due diligence and preparation, failed to prepare.
But I guess I just think for me, it's just one of those like give it time. I think just give it time. I think you can't you just can't judge what how successful he's going to be at Ferrari until we've had like a bit more data. I think that's all. That's all, mate. That's all. Give it time, Cam. Don't let that. If I can let the love into my heart and praise Verstappen, even though everyone thinks I honestly I don't know what these guys want me to say, like more than what I've said. But like, if I can praise Verstappen for what he's done today, I think you can allow some grace for a driver at a new team and a new team which is not the most structurally sound team. To give your fucking example, he's moved into a house and they've got a roof but they've got nothing else. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no walls, there's no floor, there's no foundation, but they've got a lovely roof and they've got bifold fucking windows. Like, everything looks great, but it's built on a swamp, and it's gonna take time. It's Ferrari, right? I think whoever wins that next title at Ferrari, whether it's Charles or Lewis, it would be so against the grain of what we've all seen from Ferrari in the last 20 years, right? Like, that is not an organization at the moment, based on what we saw in China last week, based on what we see on a week-to-week basis, is not an organization built for success, or built for operating at the sharp end of the grid. In the same way, you look at Red Bull and how they operate. Look the way you look at fucking Mercedes at the moment, like
mate, don't even bring up them words, Nyasha.
Yeah, it is what it is. I've got my thoughts on that, but we can discuss that at another time. But I don't think it's a coincidence that, in a lot of ways, that Lewis has gone, and there seems to be a lot more cohesion there, with George benefiting from that. So yeah, yeah, I think just give us some time. I think for us to I think you're better than making bold statements after three. I've not even had the third race. We had the third race. We've not had, do we? No. So yeah, I think you're better than making bold statements before we've even had the third race.
Nyasha,
anything could happen tomorrow. Like, really and truly, like, with the thunderstorm before the race starts,
and it's
like,
wet, and
anything could happen.
100%, and Lewis does tend to go wet, but I still feel like I would be doing the legacy of Sir Lewis a disservice to just put my head in the sand and do one of these and be like, everything's okay. Like the dog in the meme with the burning house, and be like, everything's fine. Sip tea. It's cool. Everything is not cool, Nyasha, as far as Sir Lewis Hamilton's concerned. It hasn't been cool for the past 3 years, as near as makes no difference. It feels like, as so many F1 aficionados infinitely more intelligent than me have contended, it feels like and looks like Sir Lewis, and understandably so, right, that on the back of 2021, that Lewis Hamilton, that we knew and loved, 2018 Lewis, Singapore settings, 2010, 2008, 2007, round the outside Alonso, turn one, lap one, first race of his career. It feels and looks like, Nyasha,
he won 2 races last year. What the fuck are we talking about?
We're talking about the fact that George absolutely nailed it. Unless you're going to buy into the sabotage thesis, riddle me this, Nyasha.
I'm not going to buy into this,
Nyasha. So how sway?
But Cameron, you even praised me for this. So don't act up for the. When your boy acts up for his fucking friends, yeah, he acts up for you, man. And then on the phone to me, he'll be like, "Yeah, you made a good point there." But then in front of you, man, he's all like, wait. We all know, and I'll say this verbatim to what I said on your channel. We know that the divorce from Mercedes, we don't know that behind the scenes that wasn't as harmonious as a divorce as we would imagine, right? Especially based on comments from Toto, based on comments from Lewis. We saw what Serena posted the other day on Instagram, right? So I think it wasn't an environment where I would say someone would be at their best. And I think we saw that with his mental health. And, I think he just completely lost confidence in the car. If we can see we saw what happened with Liam Lawson, for example, right? I just think if a car starts spinning on you out of nowhere, multiple races. And I think we all know Lewis Hamilton is better than that. Look, we saw what happened with fucking Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari in the latter years, right? I think there was a touch of that with Lewis at Mercedes in terms of this car just doesn't agree with me. For some reason, I go to do things and it does things I don't want it to. So I'm happy to admit that whatever happened last season, for me, fine, right? You can take that as at face value and say, okay, whatever. I'm looking at a driver when the car was to his liking, an incredible race win at Silverstone, and that I would say in terms of dominant victories, considering George's car was fucking legal, um, that Belgian performance, he was two tenths a second quicker than everyone else that day. Like it was vintage Lewis. So that driver is still in there somewhere for me. How often he's going to be able to get that out depends on how beautiful a partnership he can conjure with Ferrari in the next few years. But I just think for me, I think it's disingenuous to 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 say everything that happened last season was bad when he was a multiple race winner and he's won a race this season. You can only win what's in front of you. Look, Newcastle won the Carabao Cup the other day. Like, no one's saying it's not a fucking cup competition. Like, do you know what I mean? You can only win what's in front of you. Like, and, you know, he won it. And, like, again, if someone wins a race, I find it staggering that on top of that, people that come back and say, well, he's finished. What the fuck was that then? And I think I saw a comment like, oh, well, the car was lower. If it had gone lower, if it gone longer, then he would have been disqualified. In the words of Kanye West, I guess we'll never know.
Oh, the humanity. How very dare you on this channel say we know what's going on there. Let me read out some comments.
Yeah,
Lacey says, no one can dispute Sir Lewis Hamilton's skill. Wayne says, if Max reaches 6 titles, then we can have a conversation about GOAT status. Eric says, always an excuse, always the benefit of the doubt. He's a 7-time champion, world champion. The highest standards we put on him are self-imposed. Alex says, when can I join these discussions, mate? Let me know when. Let me know as and when. Do you know what I mean? If you want to chop it up as far as all things F1. Here's what I was saying.
But the thing is, you've got to be, the thing is, it's very easy to be on the other side. I think this is what we make it feel as if like what we do right now is easy. People, I want to say right now, what Cameron does on a day-to-day basis, multiple times a day, every day, 365, 7 days, 365, all the years, yeah, 24/7, all of them things. It's not easy. So if you think what Cameron does is easy and you want to get involved, just remember, this is high-level content creation, and you're seeing the thing at 43K now. When he's at hundreds of thousands and he's market leader, F1 content creator, just remember, this thing ain't easy. He just makes it look easy.
Oh, let's go. Techier than techie things. I'm just trying to get in your slipstream, Nyasha.
Get the fuck out of it.
It's the honest truth of the matter. One day when I grow up, maybe I'll learn your comedic
get the fuck out of
I'll get there in the end, Nyasha. I will get there in the end. Fine, let me say this on Lewis.
Yeah,
I just think because I and you and we, Nyasha, have lived through the glory years, it feels a little bit like bloody Man United, if I draw the analogy. I feel like we lived through 99 and Bayern Munich and Beckham and Giggs and Scholesy and Keno. I saw Lewis Hamilton lift that 2014 championship in Abu Dhabi when so much of the British bias press were writing him off, saying that he's going to waste away his life and his career by chasing around Nicole Scherzinger et al. I remember those times. I cried tears, Nyasha, when Lewis Hamilton proved everybody wrong, that his career up on his epitaph, even when his career was all said and done, it wasn't going to be written anything like unfulfilled potential, because he did it, and then he went to Mercedes and he did it and did it and did it again 7 times. If that's your budget, Nyasha, if that's your gauge, then all I'm asking is, this is a very simple question, no more complicated or simple than this. I want to know what's changed, because I know for a fact, take this one to the bank, Nyasha, if I know anything about Sir Lewis Hamilton in his pomp, nobody's going to tell me that George Russell destroys that dude. I don't care about the car's difficult, ground defect, whatever, he can't get as aggressive on the brakes as he wants to, etc, etc. In honouring Sir Lewis Hamilton's name and the dude who he was the peddler, the Mount Rushmore of F1 peddler that he was in his pomp and his prime. I can't honour that legacy, Nyasha, and talk about Lewis in the way that some of these bloody extremists are talking about him, making these noddy excuses. No, because Lewis Hamilton is one of the best that I've ever bloody seen, and that's where all this concern comes from. It emanates out from that sentiment, Nyasha. He's one of the best that I've in his when he's ready and he's had his Weetabix. Who's going to beat Lewis Hamilton? Who? In F1 history, Clark, maybe Senna, maybe Max, mate. Like, we're having a conversation now, and it's like,
yeah, obviously we're talking Mount Rushmore, basically.
Bank, like first round selection.
Yeah, first round Hall of Famer, first ballot. Sorry, yeah.
All
100%.
F1 straight away in there. So in it, couching the conversation in them too. If you've just woken up in F1 today, as many extremists have, Nyasha, by dint of Drive to Survive, etc. If you've just woke up and you didn't live through them, there Sir Lewis Hamilton news, then you don't know, and you can be forgiven for thinking this is just Sir Lewis Hamilton. If you lived through 2014 and 2007, putting the smackdown on Fernando Plan Alonso's head when nobody could beat Fernando Plan Alonso in your rookie season, for Pete's sake. If you live through their times, Nyasha, then you understand the benchmark that I'm using. Ergo, the question is this, the exam one: what has changed, chap? Because Sir Lewis, fire-breathing dragon prime Sir Lewis, would never get dunked the way that Sir Lewis got. That dunked is probably, that's not the right term, would never get beaten so roundly and comprehensive in qualifying by King George of Kings.
Look, but like, I think the truth. I think, well, look, one, I think I saw someone in the comments say, I think we're underrated Russell, and I will 100% say this. I don't think Max Verstappen has had a, probably since Ricciardo, I don't think Verstappen's had a teammate as good as George Russell. I think George Russell right now, in fact, if you want to draw the Daniel Ricciardo kind of comparisons, I feel like George Russell is 2018 Daniel Ricciardo right now, in that he's in a contract year and he's in like a car which is not really like supposed to win races, but I think, you know, he's going to get on podiums. He's going to scam his way to a race win at some point. We all know how George is. Like, he is like relentless in like being in the right place at the right time. Like, that's just him, right? So I don't think it's necessarily like as bad a thing as people are making out. That probably one of the best qualifiers on the grid is, and again, I'm not going to get into what I think about Mercedes, but with, let's say, in a team and in an environment which he was very comfortable in, and he was able to extract all of the performance that he could at Mercedes, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I don't look at head-to-heads like that and think, well, you know, the same way I don't look at the head-to-head with Button and think, well, you know, Lewis won two out of three, well done. Like, you know, that doesn't interest me. It doesn't, do you know what I mean? It doesn't interest me at all. That doesn't feel the fabric of my fiber, if you want me to, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just, for me, like, I look at, and again, what do we say about older drivers? What's the first thing to go?
Pace.
It's the pace, right? Like, so again, but what's the thing that has increased? I've looked at how many races have we seen with Lewis Hamilton. The tire preservation's been incredible. The long, you know, going long, and I think that's what I want to see. And I think, if I'm going to be like openly honest, that's what was. Actually, I've got a fucking bone to pick with you.
Go on, tell me. Detail.
That's what. Why are you feeding into this fucking bullshit from fucking China about the swap, and you're reporting on things without context? Why are you doing that?
Go on, explain.
So Lewis, if anything, you're worried about Lewis's qualifying pace. If anything, what I want to see less of is Lewis, because he's not, you know, he didn't have a long run in testing. So that was his first long run in China, and the pace wasn't there. The pace wasn't there. He had to let Charles through, right? That I want to see less of that this season. And I'm very sure, I want to go on record and saying that we will not see a lot of that. Oh, I'm happy to say that. However, that's the side of Lewis Hamilton that I know is cash money. Even when he was getting out qualified by George, what was the tweet? George could start first, Lewis could start 20th, and they'd still finish together. Right? I think for me, I want to see that long run pace, that tire preservation, that kind of initial pace that we saw in China. Whether you think it's because the car was running lower or not, whatever. I think that if that starts to go, then yeah, fine. Let's have conversations. But at the moment, I'm not seeing that on a regular basis. I've seen it once, and then I've seen it extrapolated and expounded upon without context by large F1 content creators to their audiences, like it's like he was refusing to move over.
Oh no, negative. No, nonsense, chap.
He did do that.
I said that he was refusing to move over.
The title implied.
What was the title of the video?
I don't know. I don't know. I saw it. You know what, Cameron? I saw it and I didn't like it.
I mean, never judge a book by its cover, Nyasha. You're a content creator yourself. Look, let's talk to that. So look, I think the criticism roundly of Lewis was that, again, if you're comparing this Lewis, this iterate, do you remember when Lewis in Hungary 2007 was meant to go second and didn't go second? So what happened to that dude, Nyasha? That dude would have never, ever in a month of Sundays.
Because the team is more important. But I think this is where we differ. This is where we differ.
I don't want to hear Lewis talking about team that much, Nyasha. Sometimes, but I just don't think Lewis is nobody's. The Lewis that I know and fell in love with is nobody's doormat, Nyasha. He would never have done that. I loved it when Lewis did what he did.
Would you rather he held up Charles Leclerc and then those two raced, basically, and look, we've seen Charles Leclerc basically fucking nearly take out Lewis's wing twice at the start. So you want those two racing, like. You want them racing, basically. No, you want me to over what? Over like fifth and sixth.
I don't care. You want me to be honest, Nyasha? I want to see Sir Lewis Hamilton, primetime Sir Lewis Hamilton, fire-breathing dragon Sir Lewis Hamilton, who will not give any quarter to anybody unless your name is Bottas and you're going to move over and give me an attempt to unless it's that those very strict terms. Otherwise, sans that circumstance, Lewis Hamilton gave no quarter to anyone. So even the fact that this is being suggested by Sir Lewis, yeah, it's really nice, chap. Of course, it's lovely. Philanthropy settings and altruism settings, like in extremis. But is that Sir Lewis Hamilton who's going to go and win an 8th? Not necessarily, I would argue.
I think the Lewis Hamilton that's going to win an 8th needs to curry favour from his team and needs to have the trust of his team. And if he goes in there like Alonso and just fucking, this is my team, what I want, this is what I want to do. Like, he doesn't, this isn't, I'm more pissed off with when he was doing it at Mercedes. When he was doing the fucking apology video with George in Qatar, that pissed me off. He should have been anywhere near that PR shit. Fuck that. When him and George were going blow for blow in 2023, 24, yeah, that was sweeting me. Oh my God, I need that. But in a new team, it's chess, not checkers. Oof. That's why he's taking these men to bowling. That's why he's being a team player, because it's not about winning the fucking battle for 4th, 5th place in China in the second race of the season. It's about having the team's favor if they have an engine which is ready to go next year, which is comparable with Mercedes. Let's make no mistake about it. Mercedes are favourites next season.
Mate.
If Ferrari are anywhere near that engine, they have the opportunity to win the World Drivers' Championship next year. And it's about getting that team on his side, being a team player for that moment. He didn't move to Ferrari for 2025, China 4th place. Fuck that shit. We've got championships to think about. We're playing the long game. And if you want me to be honest, maybe playing the long game is what fucked him in 2018. Maybe in Imola, he should have just fucking said, you know what, Max? No, me and you are going off now. We're not having it. Maybe in Spain, he should have said, you know what, me and you are going off now. I'm not having it. Maybe that Silverstone moment should have happened earlier, because you know what he was doing? He was playing the long game and he was trying to accumulate points. That is the Lewis that we have now. He's playing the long game. We'll see whether it works or not. Sorry if I've just rambled there, but I felt
not at
like
all, chap. No, not at all. Here's hoping. I'm hoping that you're barking at the right tree. Let me read out, making you a legend, by the way, for Jason the Max fan, Sir Lewis FTW. Let me read out a couple of other these. 7 F1 championships, says Wayne. Put some respect on Sir Lewis's name. OG Zilla says Bottas would own every teammate that Max has ever had, let alone Alonso and Rosberg. Is it facts?
Facts. But wait, come on. You know what? Yeah, Bottas. The way they were hounding Bottas out of fucking of Mercedes at the end of 21. Obviously, let me tell you now, I was not happy. First half of the season was diabolical. Let's make no mistake, right? Second half of the season, though, he was there or thereabouts. You know, what was the podium? Everyone kept saying like the podium was like, it would be like Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. Like that was the 3, right? So he wasn't like
he wasn't a scrub.
He wasn't a scrub. He wasn't. I tell you what, but like I feel like the level of scrub is like, Perez went in and you could argue for his case until like last season, where you just couldn't argue that case anymore, right? But then that was like if Bottas was doing what Sergio Perez done last season in Mercedes, God, imagine, like, especially if Lewis Hamilton was next to him as well, like winning championships the same way Max was. Like, it's just, and the constructors was, I would argue, was probably tighter then. I mean, that's why essentially Bottas is why Mercedes won the constructors title in 21.
And lost the drivers' championship.
Exactly. No, for sure. 100%. No, 100%.
And still Lewis wanted to keep him on. Incredible.
Well, same way Max wanted to keep Liam Lawson on. So.
I know. But you're saying this is like it's only Max that does these things and doesn't want Carlos.
No, but also like
why would
I think there's a difference between wanting to keep someone on that has been there for 2 races and sucks, compared to someone that's been there how many seasons? 5 seasons, and is in terms of the atmosphere, better than the guy that you would have killed each other if you'd stayed on for another season.
I don't hate it on either count, Nash. I'll be
honest. I know, yeah,
I understand.
But also like I think we saw with George, we saw what happens when you get 2 competent drivers in the same team. Like, it's not a nice place to be, like, at all. Like, and I think put some respect on George's name. Like, he's not a scrub.
No, he's definitely not a scrub. Blimey, mate. Let me ask you one final question as we round third base. Can Maximilian or Sir Lewis Hamilton win a championship this year?
I don't think Lewis is going to win a championship this year, because I don't think the car is there, and I don't believe in. I think our analysis on Max, I don't think you could drop Max into the Ferrari and he would do what he did today.
Would he? In fact, I'm never going to ask you this question.
But after today, do I think that Max can win the title? I do, yeah. I do.
Chaos, Nyasha. We've looped the circle very nicely. Do you understand the chaos embodied, engendered?
I think that says more about McLaren, to be honest. But
that's unbelievable.
I think if there was a killer in that McLaren car, this would not be a fucking. Yes, Max is operating at a very high level right now. Do I think he's it's mad. I keep reading these comments. I'm like, I don't know what you guys want me to say. Max is operating at a really high level right now, and I think he is the most consistent driver in the sport. I think he's the quickest driver in the sport right now in the conditions that we have. Um, I just don't think McLaren have it. I really don't. And but the thing is, what I do, you know what? We've got two teams who are really good at developing their car. McLaren have shown over the last few years that they're able to bring up upgrade packages that are able to transform their car, so it'll be interesting to see that. And we know Red Bull are really good at the old upgrading. I guess it's who blinks first in terms of 2026.
True. Well, if you're Horner and Marco,
I'd go all in.
Well, this is 2021 all over again.
Yeah, 100%.
You're fighting for jobs.
You say that, and then look what they did for like the next 4 years after that. So yeah, but no, for sure, 100%. I think I said this on your podcast before. I think if there's any two teams that are going to go all in this season, it's going to be McLaren and Red Bull. I think Ferrari and Mercedes have already got an eye on next year. Mercedes 100%. So I think these are two teams. I think we're lucky in that we've got Max and we've got McLaren. We've got three drivers. We've got a three-way championship fight. I think George is in there as well.
1,000%, chap. 1,000%. The stealthy pick, Alan Prost settings.
Oh man, honest to God, yeah. What's George's odds? Honestly, genuinely,
I think he's third favourite, maybe something like 8-1. I think
that's not enough. No, I'm still not putting money on that. But
well, if Lewis was 10 at the start of the season, then I think that's half decent for George at 8-1.
I mean 8. I don't know. I feel like it's more than 8, but yeah. I think what's Verstappen?
When I took him, Max Verstappen was about. I want to say it's about 3-1. Chaos. And
that's the thing. You want to use fucking odds for today. 18-1. It's 3-1 to win the fucking championship, for fuck's sake. So that's not a car that's like a midfield car. I'm just saying.
But it was 18-1, Nyasha. You got to judge every event on its merits. 18-1 at the end of FP2.
Look, it was a great lap. It was a great lap, Cam. It was a great lap. I'm not saying it wasn't a great lap. It was a great lap. It was a great lap. He did really well. But
20-1, George. Matt's currently
20-1.
Yeah,
I'm putting a fucking pinky on that now.
Are you?
I'll put a pinky on that. What? 20.
I'm not buying it.
He's just there.
He's accumulating the points. I'll give him that. He's Alan Prost in the thing.
And the thing is, as well, I honestly, I just think there may be times where Max isn't able to do what he done today. Because 100%. If today is such a Herculean effort, you can't really do that every week. So there will be times where George is in front of Max. And I think then it's about, is he in front of the McLarens? And we've seen that there are opportunities to be had there. So I'm just saying, it's not beyond comprehension that George is going to get a couple of race wins before the summer break, at least. Oof. And then I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what the lay of the land is once we get to the summer break. But we could have a four-way. We could have a four-way go for the title.
You heard it here first.
Look. Also, can I just Umanch, bruv? Cam's gonna have me here every fucking week, bro. You can't fucking escape. I'm gonna be, and you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna get in my glad rags. I'm gonna put on my best fucking shirt just for you. I'm gonna be here, and you know what? I'm not even gonna take my lozenges. I'm gonna make sure my voice is extra raspy just for you, baby. Mwah.
Too much. I'm telling you. Listen, it's got to be conversations. This is why I don't know. It can't be. When I watch my podcasts, it's boring if you have two bods talking from the same side of the court. I don't like it, man. It has to be It has to be the best of enemies, Nasha, arguing back and forth in a way that's respectful sometimes.
I hope so. I'll try my best. I'll try my best to be as...
It's not you that I'm talking about. It's me next time, Nasha. I'm gonna come for you. I didn't want to punch down today, but next time.
Yeah, next time, yeah.
The next time we'll do... Next time, well, you know what? We'll talk. We'll talk. As you round third place, chat... Do me a favour, like, comment, subscribe. Shortly thereafter, get over to Quick Stop F1, support Nasha, watch a couple of videos, and subscribe, aka subscribe. If you're not already, what are you doing with your life? One of the goatiest, one of the funniest, one of the most knowledgeable. It's very rare that you get that Ikigai diagram that's greater than the sum of its parts. That's what my brother Nyasha is over at Quick Stop F1, and I wouldn't give you that recommendation if I didn't mean it from the bottom of my heart. Full stop. New paragraph. Guys,
thank you very
legends.
Much.
Thank you for the chats. Charles Edward, you're a different caliber of supporter each and every single time. Macon, Alex, you guys are all absolute legends. Elated peddlers. Do me a favour as well. You guys see bottom left. Cheeky Sonoda San merch. When you're ready, not bad. Again, trying to get in the slipstream of my brother Quick Stop F1, create some market leading merch sometime, and there will be more to come. But do you know what I mean? Get it while you can. It's appreciated as always. Nasha, you're a legend. Thank you so much for your time, chap. We'll have to do same time, same place next week. Of course, if your 100%. Schedule allows. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, look, I'm always up for it, man. Like, look, honestly, like, big up everyone in the chat. Like, it's always good to come and just talk F1 and just look, steel sharpens steel, right? And I always come away learning something from these discussions, especially from some of the people in the chat as well. So thank you so much for having me on. And look, let's see what happens tomorrow, bro.
Oh, touche, sir. Mr. Maximilian Verstappen, for some say soon to be 5-time champion. Your move. The prosecution rests no further questions, Your Honour.
Bye, Pole.